Hey there, Pastor Vern, with your daily update for August 13, 2020, as we continue on with our stories of the books of the Bible. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about First and Second Kings. We're into these books that have multiple books with that are seem to be in series. In fact, some people think that really this series should have went from Judges all the way through probably Chronicles, and that maybe that was really holistically one book at one point, but either divided for either convenience or to emphasize certain stories in those books. When we get to First and Second Kings, like Samuel, it was originally one book that was divided out when the Bible was translated into English. Um, and so basically, we have this book of Kings about the time period following the time that Samuel was talking about. We get into a scenario where we have the different kingdoms that were broken down in Israel and Judea, and how a lot of that came about. And we have a lot of references to David in this, even though it's not necessarily all about him, because uh, I probably in about chapter 2, I think it is, we hear a little bit about David's deathbed charge to Solomon, and Solomon becomes king after David. Remember, Solomon is known for his wisdom and for his way that he can figure things out. But we are in a time period where God didn't really want to give the people of Israel kings, but they demanded it. So that's kind of how we got into this government, I guess you would say, of the Hebrew people. Not very popular with a lot of folks. They have a lot. Solomon makes a lot of references to uh, as as David, his father, would have said or would have done. There's a lot of prophetic record here, a lot of prophecy that is foretold in this the book. Something that I find really interesting is we're starting to see the development difference on how we worship and how faith is expressed as we go through these books in the Old Testament, especially those that are have the multiple books with the same name, like First and Second Kings, First and Second Samuel, and so on. We start to see a change in the way worship is being done. We start to see a change in how the priorities of the kingdom are set around God. To some extent, in First and Second Samuel, as we talk about David separated himself from God with sin in a lot of ways. Here, Solomon seems to be trying to pull the people of Israel back into a tighter relationship with God. And he has some. Maybe one of the most famous stories in all this is uh, the story of two women claiming the same baby, and King Solomon deciding that in his wisdom that they should divide the baby in half, cut the baby in half, give each mother half, knowing that the true mother would not allow that to happen, and that way proving that she was actually the true birth mother of the child. Uh, some amazing things like that were uh, some of our record of how logic was being developed in that time. A couple other things that's kind of interesting about First and Second Kings is the first time we see kneeling in prayer. Um, Prior to this, standing was the posture for prayer, oftentimes standing with your hands raised. Um, at this point, we start to see kneeling in prayer, which becomes the dominant position for prayer as we move forward into the scriptures. Is that the kneel before God is something that I think we're all familiar with as Christians. But prior to this, it was always a standing posture. And in fact, we kind of see that farther on, and even in the New Testament, we see people kind of rebuked for this because Jesus talks about the priests in the temple who will stand and pray and show off. They're not really praying as much as they are saying, "Oh, look how holy we are." So that's kind of interesting. Um, it's the first reference to the horns of the altar as a refuge, a sanctuary. For instance, where those who were being pursued could come to the holy place and be given sanctuary, which meant they would be protected by the temple from those who would try to arrest them or remove them from the country or whatever it may be. And it also talks about the work of the Levites carrying on the work of the art of the covenant, carrying, and it talks about how the priests carried the ark on their shoulders. Prior to this, they tried in Samuel. They tried to move the ark with some kind of device like a cart, a trailer, or whatever kind of thing you might want to call it. And God thought that wasn't a very good idea, and kind of that didn't work for him. So now we see the Levites that are actually carrying the Ark of the Covenant and doing that work as performed by the priestly tribe of the Levites. Okay, that's going to kind of take care of First and Second Kings for us. I want to remind you to take good care of yourself, watch out for others the best you can, and be safe. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.